What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with another Duran Duran second look reaction as we continue to go back through some of the highlights of their catalog, which will be a long, extensive project as I'd like to go through a number of their songs from different albums and eras, though this track we're going to listen to, Secret October, is not actually an album track. It's a B-side on the Union of the Snake single you see here. And this is, of course, from the era of Seven and the Ragged Tiger, 1983, and Union of the Snake is one of the singles from the album. But yes, this was... I heard this early on in my Duran deep dive. I think it began, and correct me, you Duranis who are still around from the beginning of that journey, I believe it started with the Rio American version vinyl, because that was in my collection. And I think the next thing I did after that was listen to both the Union of the Snake single and the B-side, which is Secret October. And I've since come to really enjoy this tune. Now, I like the updated version they did for Danse Macabre, but I do think the original Secret October is even better, and it's one that has become one of my favorites. Now, I've since gotten Secret October in MP3 form, but I figure both because vinyl sounds better, as they say, and this record isn't in terrible condition. It's in reasonable condition for a record that is now more than 40 years old, but also because it's a bit nostalgic, given that this was, as I said, very early in my Duran deep dive, probably around 4 years ago, when I was initially deep diving through their music. So again, shout out to any of you Duranis, and I know there are a number of you who were there for the original journey and are here now for these second look reactions. And yeah, again, I very much enjoy this track, and I enjoy the Union of the Snake and the Seven and the Ragged Tiger album a great deal. But yes, as I said, Secret October has become one of my favorites from their early era, and I am excited to give it a second listen now, and I haven't listened to it, recently. When I do these second looks, I try to make sure that at least for a few weeks before I do the reaction, I haven't re-listened to it, so there's a degree of freshness. Let's hear it. This is Secret October, the original version by Duran Duran, heard here in its original context as the B-side for the Union of the Snake single.
Wise on a birthday party in a world full of surprising fireworks and sudden silence. Lies on a stranger's bed. The new day breaks like a speeding train on an old friend. Never expected, but never knocking. Holding your own in a battered car. All night parties, cocktail bars and a smile. When the butterfly escapes the killing jar. Sure eyes awake before the dancing is over. Wise or naked and secret October. Free fall on a windy morning shore. Nothing but a fading track of footsteps could prove that you'd ever been there. Spoken on a coffin cloud, like the sound of gunshot taken by the wind, lost in distant thunder. Racing on a shining plane, tomorrow you'll be content to watch as the lightning plays along the wires, and you'll wonder. Sure eyes awake before the dancing is over. Wise or naked and secret October. Sure eyes awake before the dancing is over. Wise or naked
such an awesome, like, bright but mysterious atmospheric sound in the track. And fair to say, it's more a Simon and Nick track, I'd say, than anything else. You certainly don't hear John's bass, popping away. It's not like a crazy lead guitar line from Andy. And though I assume the drum rhythms are Roger, I don't actually know that. Like, now that I think about it, maybe it is like a drum machine. But again, the two elements of the Duran sound that come through most clearly are Nick with that haunting main keyboard line and Simon's expressive, rich vocals. I remember when I reacted to it originally, it was very early in my understanding of and exploration through Simon's songwriting, and I remember like, oh, there's some interesting lines and there's some visual and audio expressions, but I don't quite know how to piece it together. And I remember a number of folks commented that fundamentally the explanation for the song is that it refers to a night out on a birthday, and it's sort of an exceptional, a late night out. It's one that is a memorable night and sort of framed around someone's birthday. So yeah, like, that comes across a little bit more now that I hear it again over the last few years. But there's still some really intriguing lines that feel like each one of the lines could be the starting point for an interesting story, a mysterious story, a story with some drama or intrigue. So it's a testament to Simon's writing. But yeah, I really think it's a great track. It's short. I think it's like 2.5 minutes, maybe like 2:45, something like that. And as I said, I do have an MP3 of the track, which admittedly sounds a bit crisper because, again, this vinyl copy I have, it's not in terrible condition. I think it's very serviceable. But again, it is more than 40 years old, and there's a couple moments where you can hear a pop here, a little pop there. So either way, I still enjoy taking advantage of the vintage vinyl collection I have. But yes, ultimately, as I said, it's a tune that is really, really good for a B-side, and one that I wish was even maybe a minute or so longer. But yes, as I said, I'm enjoying this journey through second looks at a number of Duran tunes, and in that regard, we're really just getting started, because I think this is like maybe the fifth one. I think the first one I did was Careless Memories. I think the next one I did was it The Chauffeur? I know I did Planet Earth. I don't think I've done Rio. Oh, I did recently Save a Prayer. So yeah, I think it's like 5. So yeah, believe me when I say there are many, many more coming, and not just from the early phase. But it made sense to me to start with the earlier tracks. And at this point, I'm trying to remember, did I do Come Undone as well? Eventually, we may transition and do some 90s tunes. I'd also like to do a second listen or a second look at Ordinary World, especially because, I'm annoyed at my first reaction for that song, because I had read somewhere that it was like, about the career of Duran Duran and, Simon and so on. And it is about Simon, sure, but people made clear very quickly that it's about a friend of his who died, and it's one of a handful of songs that speak to that aspect of his past and, his thoughts and feelings and understandings about it. So yeah, I've always wanted to go back and do a reaction to that one again, and just sort of like, sorry for the original thought that I had, which was based on something I saw. But either way, we will continue to go through more of their catalog in this second look format, and I hope at some point I can get back to doing some like bootleg live reactions, because I would like to do some more Duran Duran live reactions. So in any case, let me know what you think. I will see you next time. Peace.